Alright, so this is number one. So if this was an equation, you guys know what the two answers would have been?
I thought we were doing number 2.
3 and negative 4.
No, we are.
Remember too much. So.
You're doing
Are you
you guys know what shape this graph would make if we graphed it?
Hey, have a shot.
Not you. Bravo. If we multiply these together, we would get an x squared. What you said?
I said, I meant to say parabola. I said parabola.
Parabola.
I thought you were just like trying to say it from this, so you could like spot.
If we FOIL this together, we get x squared something. So x squareds are parabolas. So if 3 negative 4 is where it equals 0 at, it's where it crosses the x-axis. So the graph would look something like this. Just a rough sketch. So, but it's not an equation. It doesn't equal 0. It's supposed to be greater than 0. So where is the graph greater than 0 at? The graph is greater than 0 where it's above the line. So where does that happen? So when the x values are less than negative 4, the value of the function is greater than 0. When
Meaning
x,
it has to be outside of the arrows?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, in this case, because it's greater than outside here.
Wait, no, it's
outside.
when x is
If it
greater
said
than
less
negative
than,
9, less than.
No.
that would be between here and here.
Correct.
But where's the function greater than 0? That would be everything.
Oh, wait, what?
Hey boys, you can be quieter. Everything less than negative 4 and, well, or everything to the right of 3. So x is greater than 0. So that would be the answer to number 1. That kind of makes sense? So if it says greater than 0, you want to know where the graph is above the x-axis. Like the value right at negative 4 is negative 4, 0. This is the x value, this is like the function value. The y value is like the function value. Right there. But anything to the left of that, like if we plugged in negative 5, we're going to get like a positive something. It'd be like negative 5, 8. So the function is positive when x is negative 5. But really, anything that's less than negative 4, the function is going to be positive. Because it keeps going up. And anything when x is greater than 3, anything out here, the function is going to be positive. It keeps going up. So anyway, that's all you have to put. You don't have to graph these, it's just I just make a quick sketch to help figure out where stuff is. Number 3. Same thing almost. X minus 1 minus 2 minus 4. You guys know what the shape of this graph would look like? If we FOILed it together, or well, if we multiplied all these together, we get x to the 3rd as our biggest term. That would be the degree. If we eventually all these x's would be multiplied together.
Maybe like the 3 loops, but it's like the weird n type thing.
Yeah, well,
Or is it that weird?
it's an n. So it's got one more curve than the parabola does. X squared looks like that, x cubed looks like that, x to the 4th would look like this. You guys remember that chapter?
Yeah.
So anyway, unless it's a negative and then it flips upside down. If one of these x's was negative, we'd have to flip it upside down. So what are the roots? What are the zeros of the function? 1, 2, and 4. So let's put a little, it doesn't really matter how, the picture's not that important, but it's gonna look something like this. We know it's equal to 0 at those points, because if we plug those in, it would make it 0. Okay, so the question is, when is the function value greater than 0? In other words, where is it positive, where is it above the line? So it's positive between 1 and 2. And how do we write that? Like that. Bigger than 1, less than 2. Or, where else is it positive?
Less than 4 and greater than 2.
Well, no. It's negative between 2 and 4. But it's positive out here past 4. So if x is greater than 4, that will give us positive answers. So,
I'm pretty sure this is how it looks. Right? Yeah, that's like the shape. Yeah.
do you look confused?
Well, yeah, negative
How
3, so
is, like,
yeah.
x greater than 4, but then like,
X
x is
is
greater
and then
than
goes
1,
down.
and it goes like,
Yeah.
It is greater than 1.
So it's just
That's what that's saying right there.
oh, okay.
Between 1 and 2. But it doesn't work right here, because it's negative. But it does work out here.
We're trying to find one. So it's everything but just.
Oh, wait, I get it.
We're trying.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
It's not this. Yeah. And it's not that.
So you're only trying to find out where it goes above the line.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless,
So.
and I think this is like the next problem, if they put less than, then you want where it's below the line. Greater than 0 means positive, right? Where's the value, where's the function value going to be positive? So like when x is 1.5, for example, it's going to have a positive function value, whatever that is hitting. The y value is basically,
Oh,
I
you could probably put that on the one.
don't know if that's will help. The y value is basically the function value.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wait, anyway. That probably isn't. Let's keep them on rolling now. Number 5.
Negative, we do negative 3 because that's greater than x.
Is this where we like
Oh,
fold
okay.
and stuff like that?
Minus 4. No, we're not going to multiply. Minus 4 minus 2
Yeah,
minus
just
3.
Even though it's like a square root.
Yeah. This one's less than 0. Alright. What are the roots of the function?
I had x is less than negative.
4 is one of those.
Negative 2 less than
2 is,
Oh, wait, there.
2 minus 2
Yes.
is 0. 0 squared is still 0. So 2 still works and 3 still works. But 2 and 3 are called double roots. Remember that? So, okay. Do you guys know what the degree of the function is?
Yeah, I know I'm right.
If we multiplied all these
Well,
x's
no,
together,
x is greater than negative 2.
like
Yeah.
bunch of foiling, bunch of
And
foiling,
x is
we'd
less
eventually
than-
get x to the 5th.
No. So like that.
So there's 2 there, 2 there, 1 there.
No.
Multiply them
So
all
it's like
together.
a W?
So x to the 5th is kind of like x, this is x to the 3rd like we just did. X to the 5th is similar. Odd powers go from low to high,
Your signs are flipped.
or if they're upside down, they go from high to low.
But it also has non.
Even
Yeah,
powers
and then it's not equal to.
go like up, up, or if they're upside down, it would be they go down, down at the end.
So this is like a W?
No,
Do you
it's,
have
I don't really have a name for it, but it's one of these.
Yeah, but it's opposite, right? Because it's
Yeah.
negative.
Wait, no.
No, there is no negative.
I'm just changing it up like 40.
The x term is not negative, it's positive. X times x squared times x squared, x, positive x to the 5th.
The first.
So it looks like that.
Looks like this, but 2 and 3 are what we call double roots. Way back, like 2 or 3 chapters ago, double roots is where it hits the, it hits but it doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of like that,
That's what we are.
and that's a double root also.
trying to find everything else. Oh, everything before.
So it looks like that.
We
Why
found
does it
an
not
x
actually-
positive. Negative.
Like I get why it doesn't go above the line, but why is it like short? Or does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter. This is a variable
Oh,
sketch.
x is negative.
So Brady, you had the right signs, but you didn't have the right format.
Yeah. X is, or what's the L?
So this thing
X is
is,
less than negative 3 or greater than negative
Okay, so on this problem we want where it's less than 0. So basically, where is the graph below the
2.
line?
Not equal to negative. Not equal
so
to
it's greater than 2, and less than 3.
That was probably
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get in between, and then it's less than 4 greater than 3 for the other one.
Between 2 and 3 and 3 and 4, and also everything less than 2. Because everything over here is negative, right?
Yeah.
There's an easier way of saying that
We
though.
need to factor.
So
No, you can just do.
it's not negative right here because it actually equals 0 right
Or
there.
negative 3, positive 6.
But basically, almost everything less than 4 is
Yeah.
negative, almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the easiest way to say it. X is less than 4, but X cannot
So
equal
we have 3,
2 or 3.
6. And it needs to be 8
X is not equal to
Why is it?
Yeah, I don't get that answer. But
At
So
2
it's
and
not-
3,
is
it's
that
equal,
0?
the function is equal to 0.
Okay.
Like this is 2, 0, this is
Yeah.
3, 0. So it's not less than 0 right there. We could have did what Rachel said. We could have said X is between 2 and 3, or between 3 and 4, or less than 2, and put all those together. It's just more right
less than negative 6.
than just this. I think this is the only odd that we wrote like this. I don't
do you
know
know
if
if there's any
I'm
evens?
not sure. if
Probably
there's-
6 if there was.
Even if there was an even like that, you wouldn't have to. You could do it.
Greater than 3.
Okay, number 7.
Is this one?
Well, it's not called foiling,
Or like just-
Foiling is when you put it together, factoring is when you break it apart. X squared minus 2.
2x minus 1. Oh. But we still need to factor.
Negative 5 plus 2.
Negative 5 what?
Plus 2. Or plus 3 minus.
Plus 3.
So,
I think 3 is a little worse. Positive
like for
3.
these signs.
So my roots are
1 times 3.
Maybe 3 and
negative 3 and 5.
3.
And what's the shape of the graph?
3. Well, can you do 1 and negative?
Parabola.
The one's positive
So it looks something like that.
3x plus 1. Oh, it's negative for backwards.
And the question is,
Yeah.
where is it less than 0?
So it's 1/3 is 1 over
I don't switch them around.
1/3 is negative 1.
Yeah.
Alright, 'cause I thought that was kind of it at first, but I switched it.
Wait, hold on.
What is this supposed to be positive?
So X is.
Less than 3 and greater than 5.
Greater than 1/3.
Opposite of that. Between negative 3 and 5. So it got to be bigger than negative 3, right? And less than 5.
Oh, wait, yeah, I was thinking of like the opposite.
So between negative 3 and 5. Bigger than negative 3, smaller than 5.
Keep forgetting that that's a negative.
Oh, negative 4, negative 4. That's the factor.
So it just bounces it.
Okay, number 9. 2x squared minus x minus 3.
Maybe.
That's what I did.
No.
Greater than or equal.
You just go to 4 and just copy it once.
So that was like, that could be around.
So the point of origin is 4. So it should be everything but
It would be like this, and then like 4, and then it would go.
Yeah, that's.
4. Yeah. So it would be
It's not,
everything greater than 4.
Or you can multiply anything by.
wait, is it asking when it's positive or when it's negative?
Oh,
It's
like
asking when
first
it's,
on here?
is it less than or bigger than?
Less than
Oh, so
or
it's
equal to.
not absolute.
Or
Okay,
it's
well,
no,
what's
it's
gonna go
X
in
is
the
not
front?
equal to 4.
Two.
No, because it can't be equal to
2x times
Four is on the-
x.
Oh, because it's on the line, so.
What's going to go in the back?
And then I can
Is
just.
it plus 1? Yeah, plus 1 minus 3.
Yeah, so we need to put positive 1 and negative 3 multiply into that, or positive
Negative 3 plus
3 and
1.
negative 1.
We can take an X out.
We need to
We
put
can
it,
take an X out.
shh, ready. When you do the outside, inside,
Hey, yeah, I think we can take it so.
it needs to
No, because we can't.
add up to negative 1x.
You can.
So if I
It just
put
doesn't want to say yes or no.
a minus 3 here and a plus 1 here, the outside is 2x, and the inside is minus 3x, and that equals negative x.
You could do negative 6
Which is what we
over 1. Oh, wait, we have a 3 number. think that does factor in.
Okay,
I just.
Bethany, I remember you didn't like factoring, so if you wanted to, you could
3 times 3 is 9.
do quadratic formula on that. Might take you a while, but still do it. Anyway, do you remember what the answers were in this case?
So,
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, 3 halves and then,
Yeah.
-1.
so the answers are.
So here's my schedule. It'll be 0. So -1,
And then it's parabola, right?
So
it's a parabola again.
0.
You said parabola also.
Yeah, parabola.
And this is.
You ruined me!
This is
Right.
parabola.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, parabola.
Yes. It goes like that.
Texas
it's
people.
supposed to be
Zero.
greater than that.
I don't know why I can't get it right, like,
It's supposed to be like
square.
that.
So it's
Yeah.
-3.
Parabola.
-3 here.
Okay, so this one is
So
x is
whichever way
less
the
than
signs are facing, like,
-1
I gotta treat it like
and
that's
greater
so like
than 3.
X is gonna be greater.
Ding ding ding.
So what do you think?
But you made one tiny mistake.
No. Don't-
X less than
-3.
You know what it is, Bethany?
That's
It's
greater
between.
Her mistake.
Oh, switch the sign because it's a negative.
No.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm so dumb.
It can
Jeez,
be
come on.
it can be equal to 0 on this one,
No,
which
it's
is
not where you.
the first time you
Yeah,
did
yeah.
that.
Because
So
it's
it
zero,
could be
it's not
equal to
like-
-1.
The problem is less than.
Basically, if that has an equals to, these are
X
F.
is less than.
That was a cheap mistake.
Or
No,
greater
you're
than.
using it. Oh, we're using that one.
Yeah, X is less than or equal to 0, or the and greater than or equal to -3.
Okay, we probably should look at a couple of evens before I forget.
Greater than or equal to
Number 10
Oh, turn
So I can.
and number 4.
We're trying to
find
the middle stuff.
No, we're not.
We're trying to find stuff.
When it's below 0.
Yeah. So it's X is less than -3.
Okay,
So is X greater than since this is greater than.
on number 4, if you multiply those 3 factors together, do you know what you would get?
Wait, can we do number? Oh wait, we're doing.
I'm not going to do 4, I'm just going to talk about it a little bit.
X is greater than.
So, if you multiply those x's together, you get x cubed. But you see how one of the x's is a negative x minus x? So it would be, it would actually be a negative x cubed function if you multiply those. So instead of an n, the shape is going to be an upside
Do
down.
they have to be?
Yeah, always supposed to be greater than what?
Yeah, I have that in my notes.
And on, were you here for that?
No, I just have it written down because I'm a smart person.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Alright, on number 10, it's got
Oh wait, that's a.
kind of a similar
That's a,
issue.
yeah, it is.
Are we actually doing 10?
So it's
Not
x
really.
plus 4x minus 4.
Well, it's b squared minus.
There's a negative
Plus 4. Yeah,
3x
b
squared.
minus that is also.
So we're gonna have 4.
Boys, have an hard time competing. The negative 3x squared. What I would do on this side is, or on this problem, is multiply both sides by -1 to make sure that's positive. And I would also switch the order.
So we're gonna have a double.
But when you multiply by -1 or divide by -1 or whatever, the inequality switches. When you multiply or divide by a negative, inequality switches. So now it's ready to factor, and it would just be a parabola on that one, but yeah. Okay. So those were the two kind of weird ones that I saw. What are we on? 9, 11?
Yeah.
So we got another parabola, parabola,
Not equal.
parabola.
So. Alright. So like graphing,
It's +7 and -1. And then it's
So
-7/2.
+7 minus 1.
Yeah. and then 7 or negative.
This
7
was
is
Brady,
negative
this
plus
is what
1.
Brady was bragging about yesterday. He was getting-
This one?
Well,
Like
this
specific
one
one or like
was,
one?
We
like,
found,
you got 3,
So
bro.
I just
I
have
found
one
one where you could take an X out, and I'm so
Congratulations,
happy.
Brady. I heard you yelling about it earlier.
No, I was gonna say, you can take the X out.
Oh, you can factor it.
Go the other on
Such a random song.
We have to do one of these.
Is this one where we have to do?
You can take the X out. You don't get it?
You have to do the.
Go tell them,
No, you have
like,
to
you
do
shut
Oh,
up.
okay, I sense now, but I was like, what the?
He was shouting out, you can take the X out. Like it's a big deal, like,
Well, we can just start out with 1 and 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like greater than 1, right? Or like 2. Wow, you can just join the worship team.
Wait, it's not 2 0.
I did see that, actually.
1
Okay,
Go ahead, negative.
you regret your investment.
In the background, Mr. Jordan whistling.
I've never seen a worship team with a whistler. I'm gonna be first.
Okay, is it negative? Oh my gosh, you're right though. They have seen like harmonic plays though. Harmonica. I like those weird things.
Alright, you wanna try? Or maybe Bethany, you wanna try? Rachel did the last one.
X.
Wait. Yeah, they're not factors. Are you sure that works?
Yeah, that's how we did it on the other
Greater
two.
than.
Yeah, it worked. I did it too.
I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Oh wait, you had a
Oh.
0. Oh, I didn't have a 0.
Hold
Oh,
up.
okay.
My brain process. I don't have a brain.
Hasn't even said anything. Hold up.
Is it
If you do
1
2x,
is less than or greater than X?
so it'd be 1/2.
Which is.
So it's negative 1 and 1/2.
Oh,
It's 2x plus 1.
yeah, alright, so
Negative
like
7.
3x.
Oh, we use negative.
Or is that really?
I don't think it.
Not quite, kind of, but not quite. Okay, so we want everything in here, right?
Yeah.
Wait.
So we want X to be between these two numbers.
Yeah.
So
Wait, can I?
you put the small one over here,
Negative 1?
and then the big one over here.
Oh, the 2.
So it's not the or in the middle?
Yeah, I was thinking six.
No.
Or can you do that?
No, it wouldn't, this wouldn't be more, it's more like an and. It's less, bigger than this number and smaller than this
We're
one.
looking for 3
So kind of the right track, but not
But
really.
it's still up to.
Yeah, you kinda said the arrows backwards,
So
I
it's gonna
think.
be, it's greater than 1 and it's in between 1 and negative 1.
So if x is greater than or equal to -1, which is.
Greater than or equal to 1.
No, I think you're getting that song in my head.
I'm looking at that right there. So x
Oh.
is greater than or equal to -1.
It's worth my seriously, my thing.
We're missing an X. Oh wait, is this whenever you do the oh my gosh. When you're like trying to figure out what are they
This
called
is
again?
stressful.
You like do the arrow thingy and then you do like plus or minus, blah blah blah.
So
plus or
it's
minus,
bigger
'cause you're
than
missing
1
an
and
X.
smaller than
So,
bigger than
called?
negative 1.
kind of. I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, synthetic division.
No,
Is it this
that
one?
was something else.
You did that on 19. When you started.
Okay, this is not a quadratic function. Do you guys know what
So you do
the
1/2
x to the fourth
is less than
graph would look like in the
X.
picture?
Yes.
It would have.
greater than 1.
One, two,
Okay.
three.
This. So, if it's an even power, they're kind of all alike. That's a second power, this is a fourth power. If we had a sixth power, it'd be like, which we don't, but it would look like this. So they kind of go like up. Instead of U, it's a W.
Wait, I get the right, this, the final right.
So it's going to look
So
something
we
like
subtract
that.
the A. Yeah.
But this is not a quadratic function, but it is in quadratic form. Instead of x squared x in a number, it's x to the fourth, x squared in a number. So we can still factor it like kind of normal. So guess what's gonna go on the front? X
X
squared.
is greater than,
I think that
Wow.
And what's gonna go in the back?
Or negative.
what do you mean?
What goes into negative 10,
Oh, 5 and 2.
that adds up to negative 3.
Yeah, so it'll be 9.
Oh, alright, yeah, I think I see what you mean. So this is red.
Okay, now this is a little bit different because we can't just plug in 5 there as an answer because 5 squared minus 5 is not 0.
So X is supposed
So,
to be what's.
How do we make x squared minus 5 equals 0 or x squared plus 2?
What is that?
Plus 5 and then square root it.
Plus 5 and square root it.
If it's, wait, it starts under.
Okay, when you use that square root trick though, you have to remember
Because it's 1/3 is less than.
it's positive or negative that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like,
Hard to remember again.
so you said this, like, what goes under? It is, that's supposed to be like X.
What's the square root of negative 2?
And so,
Oh, is it?
X is greater than 1/3, that's not how it works, but
I
X
squared
is
2.
greater than 1/3 is that way.
I did on mine, I think.
This is X.
Hey, I squared of 2 is imaginary, which means it's not going to be
as long as it means this.
an actual 0 of a function.
This first
Look at the clock.
So it's not going to touch.
this one.
So square root of 5,
Oh.
we don't really need to know, that's like 2.2, but we don't really need to know what that is.
It is
Is it-
1, 5.
So it is a W shape, but
It's like one.
it turns out that it only has 2
It's actually
intercepts.
126.
Because these imaginary ones mean it's not actually going to hit anywhere for these 2.
And some of this is
That
like
makes sense.
series.
What about these?
But your charge is what?
Series
Is it?
yeah, I got this one. Apple doesn't bring you the wall outlet to it anymore. It gives you the food. Yeah, it's really fun.
Okay, anyway.
Fast break.
Oh, yeah.
These.
And they charge like $50 for it.
We want it greater than 0. So basically it works kind of like a parabola.
You don't have to get.
But where is it greater
No,
than 0 at?
Greater than negative 5
Like that.
and less than
It gives
5.
me 2 as well.
Wait,
Huh?
greater than
So,
negative 5 and then
How do you use? Bro, why would you do that? Those things
Greater
never
than
break.
What? Things never.
Okay.
break, though.
Less than negative square root of 5.
Well, what I'm probably gonna do is put one. I had trouble with it.
oh my
Oh,
gosh.
like
And
it's got backup
4
cords.
greater than positive.
Another portable charger. And so I'll probably just
Right?
keep it in there.
Yeah.
Positive out here,
You'll see it.
where x is less than negative 5.
I'll glue it together.
And it's positive out here where x
It's
is
a
greater
very
than
trifle
square root of 5.
thing.
Just make it 2 negatives.
It's in there.
Oh.
So I can open it up and it locks.
I keep thinking that it doesn't matter what side the arrow is as long as it's like a
One of my
bumper.
friends has, I'm just saying,
This
this
is
little
where-
bag that has individual like locker case
So do
that
I
like
grab
come out on the sides.
Wait, do you still have to do that I
And they're all
square
like
too?
on a
No, that's not, this is not an actual root, imaginary, so it doesn't cross anywhere for that.
Oh,
There's like, you know, how much charge it is, like, okay, confirm you have.
what? Like,
And then he's able to go
forgot what it
pull
was
one
now.
out, plug it, and it's connected to a portable charger.
Jeez.
It's ridiculous. He also has a portable
A
charger.
cubed
that
plus 2a
you
squared
can
minus
pull
4a
off
minus
like
8.
AQ.
Oh, really?
It's not the same thing as on like the other side.
Yeah.
are you still working on that?
You put Xbox on.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
We get
Has a 4-day of consistent use.
this is trouble. What's trouble about this one?
What? Are you still working on 18?
Yeah, there's an AQ term, which means it's not going to factor like the last one. So we got a couple ways we could do this. We could, you guys remember the rational root theorem? We could use factors of 8
Mine were good.
over factors of 1, and those are possible answers.
Wait, what were you there?
On this one though, there's an easier way if you remember it. A long time ago, we learned something called grouping.
So who's?
Um,
And that was one day. And that was.
On grouping,
Why you're doing like that? Why you do it in left?
It's where you take something out of the first two terms and take something out of the second two terms. So what comes out of the first two terms?
It'll probably be
A squared.
That one.
And then what's left?
Oh, by the way, Sunday afternoon or something.
And then what comes out of the second
Ben's gonna
pair?
beat me then, I'm just gonna
No, Ben.
-4.
tell me how I need to cheese him.
And what's left
He doesn't. I'm giving
is A plus 2.
He doesn't like cameras.
If the parentheses are not the same,
And then use the.
either you did it wrong or grouping doesn't work at all. So it only works in kind of special circumstances. And then after this, the outside stuff
My guy.
goes in one parentheses,
Pretty good. But he's.
and the inside stuff goes in the other.
And he's a solid.
Great. Beating someone before is not the same as consistently beating someone.
I beat him like my wife's real. He beat me real. And it's because K Roper
Okay.
counters Pikachu.
So if A squared minus 4
You want
is a factor, what
You want to show you how
could A be?
I can beat you with anything.
2. But it also could be
He did when he said I can beat this Pikachu.
Negative
Look where
-2.
Look where it brought me. It brought him to the.
Yeah, but Ben.
Because -2 squared
Ditto. Same.
is also 4, right?
Oh, he.
And the other one's just negative.
And that's -2. So -2 is a double root actually,
He could shoot in violet.
because it works there and it works in there. It's like an answer twice. So
And a warrior.
this is a cubic function. So what shape did that take?
Warrior's a here.
Yeah. But at -2, it's a double root, so it's going to bounce on
Again.
that graph at -2.
Something in the wall.
So it's going to bounce right there, and then it'll go through right there.
Ben also has a GameCube controller.
And are we doing greater than or less than? Greater than 0. So Bethany, you know where that would be?
Joker. The name is separate.
Yeah,
I saw it. I saw
greater
it.
than 0.
He was. I think a little easier with it. He did Joker, but every time he did. Or is it not like that name?
Arsene.
Every time he's Arsene, he has to do that SD.
Mhm.
But I say
That's it.
That's what I meant. He plays Joker. He bans us.
Yeah, that's it. If that's it,
Sure.
It needs someone.
yeah.
But
It is, yeah. That's it. Actually, I was saying it, but
I was gonna say, I was like, that definitely sounded like you were saying it.
You like after you're like, or you looked at it, you're like, that's it. And I'm like,
I was looking,
That's a statement.
I was looking for signs of understanding. I got a blank stare, but
Because I think she understood it, but then she was like, wait a minute, am I like not done
So if you don't.
yeah, that's it. You did it. Yay!
You can.
hey, you're a tree.
I just wanted to.
I beat him one time and then.
What about teachers can plant a doubt in any like student that they want by just saying like a thing that doesn't make sense, but like yeah, it's
I'm
true.
guessing he did.
And then students will like always believe them, huh?
You wouldn't
I refer to
understand this.
everything
I have
except for dogs. so
years
it's
of practice
just-
with Pikachu. I've gone through all the videos I've been trying. Like, I know what I'm doing. So when somebody's playing.
Okay, unfortunately on this one, 17,
I know exactly what's going through their head.
it's not a quadratic, it's not an x squared, so we can't do that, and it's not like in a grouping form, so we kind of have to use the, there's a trick you can do on the calculators with
It's just.
like graphing it and then find the root where the zero is a function. But let's use rational root theorem. So factors of 6 over factors of 1.
He just has problems with it.
I did it.
So it's positive negative 1, 2, 3. These are possible answers, not actual answers. So do you know how we know which is right? Plug it in. So if you plug in 1, for example, would that work?
I'm gonna start min. Cue Rocky music.
It'd be 1 minus 7 plus 6.
That's the one that's like the lefty.
It doesn't.
What I said.
It does work.
Yeah.
No one actually does.
Okay, so 1 is, that's a good,
Brain
that's
is
a,
like Joe.
that's a good news. So what we did on this lesson was we kind of, if 1's an answer, then like x minus 1 is a factor. We kind of divided out the x minus 1, the 1, with synthetic.
It's one minus. Wait, why would it not be another one? This is a square root. Oh wait, yeah, it is on.
This is missing an n squared term, so I put a 0 right there.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be. But that was just me being stupid.
And then we added down, you guys probably know synthetic, right? Multiply up. This is another way of checking to see if it's the right answer, if it comes out 0 over here.
Like on the right.
Okay,
When you're saying
do you guys remember how many answers this should have normally?
It's hard to pull out.
Three.
Seeing something to do.
And so we found one of them.
I just need to correct.
The last 2 are contained inside of this.
If you missed it.
But the good news is this is factorable. Or you could use quadratic formula, I guess, but definitely factoring would be easier. So what multiplies into negative 6 that adds up to 1?
Negative 2 plus 3.
Use your bits.
Huh?
Negative 2 plus 3.
I've been trying to like, what have been playing?
So what are the final 2 roots?
2 and negative
2, negative. And remember 1 worked at
And
the
1.
beginning, so that's the 3. And what shape is the graph going to take?
Wait, just here in the quadratic. How does
That's what
2 and
I'm working
3
on it. Working on it.
2 and
Oh wait,
negative
is that where he like builds his?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Making
Yeah.
them control the like.
He has the
Like,
best parries.
3? What shape is the graph going to take?
It has
Cubic.
to go
What?
up.
Cubic, right?
It's cubic, so what shape?
Or but you
But once people
A.
This is the
if Steve doesn't have
And.
In.
resources,
Yeah.
he's done because he can't.
Okay,
use
so
resources. But if they, if Steve plays those snake,
yeah,
And we want, where is the graph
but it's like
it depends on.
less than 0?
the Steve
So
is
below
parries,
the
because if he can parry like the sides.
range.
It'll. And he has another really close to the
It's
Not to mention, I never used this, but Steve has a tether graph,
greater than negative 3, less than
so we
1.
don't actually have to do it.
No.
Or is it the opposite?
That's where it's greater than is this way.
I used to.
Yeah,
Between
are you
negative
trying to
3
find
and
it in between the lines?
Okay, bro.
Okay, right here, the graph is above the line, which means it's positive right here. But we want where it's negative.
Ridley.
Okay, so then it's less than negative 3.
I played.
Greater than
Melee, like the GameCube
1 or
one.
2, I
In
don't
that
know.
one, I
Because
made.
it
Okay.
could technically.
Between here and here, the graph is negative. So what are the x values between here?
Samus or Captain Falcon, I can't remember. which
Greater
one.
than 1 and less than 2.
Yeah, between 1 and 2.
Samus was kind of.
I used to play I played Samus once and then I figured out she was a girl.
Like a real one.
I swear that omniscient answer.
Zero to
Why is
two.
it not?
I actually just.
Last
I
one.
already have 19.
Because I thought trying to figure out like starts here and then goes.
That's how much class you showed up with. 2x cubed.
Sorry.
Hold it.
Jeez.
That's bitter for the rest of my life. 2x cubed plus x squared minus 5x.
Big fatty.
But now you might actually understand what we're doing though.
Yeah, rather than just copying down.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I just have it like it's
So you guys, you see how the minus 2's on the wrong side? So yeah, I'm gonna add 2
now we just got
to both sides, move it over.
We should all wear glasses.
This looks like it could be grouping, but if I take an x squared out, it'll be like 2x plus 1, and this would not be 2x plus 1.
Take an X
So-
out, take an X out.
Grouping does not work. Taking an x out does not work. That's what Ray said yesterday. Because there's no x in this term. So we got to do the rational root theorem again. What are the factors of 2 over factors of 2?
He's so high.
Thank you, Phil.
He's high maintenance.
So it's 1 over 1, 2 over 1, or 1 over 2, or 2 over 2. 2 over 2 is 1. That's very good. So there's not a lot of options. Does 1 work?
No, it's not. We'll go back for it.
Well, this is just a 1 right here, so this would be a 2. Plus 1 is 3. Minus 5 is negative 2. Plus 2 is 0. So 1 actually does work. So he's just kind of like the last one. So I'm going to take the 1 answer out with synthetic division. Multiply.
Oh yeah.
So this represents 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. I want it to be 0. So on the front, we'll go 2x and x. On the back, we need multiples or factors of negative 2. So that'd be like negative 2 times 1 or 2 times negative 1. If we do 2 there, that'd be 4.
Granted, I want to learn how to perfectly parry swords.
And the minus 1 there, that would be minus 1. Which gives us the
So
3.
excited, Mom, dude. Just this and I did parry swords perfectly.
So Bethany, what would the last 2 answers be?
That was so intelligent for me.
I'm assuming you like that.
Negative 2, positive 1.
That is so ugly.
And then remember 1 word.
Ham. Just to say ham.
H-A-M.
We're missing something. No, it's just ham.
So it'll be an N shape again, so something like this.
Yeah, it is.
That's too recent.
And we're looking for where it is less than
After the
0.
year before I got here, so.
So where do you think that is?
It was before. It was definitely not when I was here.
Yep.
You've been here 2 years before me.
So
Yeah, 6, 7 years. Was it really the year before I got here? That sounds about right.
you're acting like I remember when you got here.
Well, 6th grade. Or you
Between what?
Yeah, well, I bet we were. Yeah.
How do we write between a half and 1?
No, I think we
Yes.
I feel like I would remember it more if I was here.
Less than 1.
Always look at it.
1 half is less than x, which is less than 1. So x is between 1 half and 1. That's it. We did it. So this is what we actually did yesterday, and they were working on the evens. I think they're done, obviously.